I bulked for 60 days, and as a skinnier kid with a faster metabolism, this feels darn near impossible. Now this video is going to be chock full of information on how I started my bulk, how I maintained my bulk, how to adapt when things went wrong in the bulk. So you are going to want to stick around until the very end of the video to see how exactly I have gained 10 pounds in the past 60 days. So as many of you may know, I competed in a bodybuilding competition about 5 months ago. And to be honest, I was just extremely small and very skinny. And so I figured, well, competition was over. It was time to put on some size because that is one of the biggest things that I lacked in the show. So for these past 60 days, I have been on a bulk. Check out these starting points. So my body weight was around 157 pounds, and I had a maintenance calories of about anywhere between about 2,500 to 2,700 calories per day, give or take a couple of hundred. So one of the key things I did is just barely increase this caloric surplus. So I was eating more than my maintenance, therefore I could put on weight. I would only eat anywhere between 1 to 300 more than the maintenance. So I kept it between about 2,600 to 3,000 calories every single day. Besides, maybe when I did that OMAD diet. But to be clear, I made up for it on the days before and the days after, so therefore my calories still evened out in the end. So after the bodybuilding competition, I really just decided to hit a reset button or a deload on everything, meaning all my weights dropped tremendously in terms of lifting. I kind of started from scratch again, trying to build the form back up, really get the mind-muscle connection going, and kind of just starting from scratch. So here were my lifts when I first started this bulk. Now keep in mind, I have lifted these weights before at even a lighter weight, and I know, nothing crazy, but so I was only at body weight 157 pounds. I was benching 205 for maybe 3 reps on a good day. So I was struggling. I was really trying to build back up there. And once again, I was still super light for my body weight, a little bit depleted still, and haven't trained for strength in a long time. My squat, I would only get to about 315 for anywhere between about 3 to 6 reps, really depending on how I was feeling that day. So yes, those are much lower for me on average, especially coming off of a deload and not training for strength, strictly training for hypertrophy, form, and aesthetics. So when I was in this caloric surplus, I started to realize that if I didn't have a pump, or if I wasn't in the middle of working out, I would start to look a little skinny fat, and my stomach would kind of bulge out and feel bloated almost 90% of the time when I wasn't lifting or strictly after a lift. On days where I either would have to skip lifting due to work or some external circumstance, I tried to dial it down a little bit on the calories, because when you're just munching on a bunch of calories and eating a bunch of food without working out, you're quite literally just getting fat. You are not gaining any benefit from, besides a bunch of weight, if you're into that, from just consuming a bunch of calories without any weightlifting or exercise or any sort of training alongside that. Now, throughout these 60 days, you have to keep in mind, I've been working out 4 to 6 days a week, every single week, take away 1 week where we were in Hawaii. However, my body weight has drastically increased for such a small period of time. So I'd be waking up at about 165 pounds. And then throughout the day, maybe walking around at anywhere between 166 to 167 pounds. And then I'd be going to bed at anywhere between 168 to 170. And guys, I've never been 170 in my life. So this is new. This is groundbreaking for me. If you are enjoying this video so far, or if you feel like you're learning something new, I would like to invite you to boop that like button down below. And once again, don't forget to stay until the end so you can get my entire full routine on how I've been bulking, how I've adapted, and really just the full routine in order to put on this weight and not necessarily 100% fat. So not only did my weight start to explode up within these 60 days, but my strength did too, actually. I know these aren't crazy lifts, but this is where I'm at essentially right now. And I want to be honest with you guys and completely transparent. So my bench right now is about 225 for 3 reps. So we added basically a whole 20 pounds onto our bench, given I've done more than that before. That's already some sort of improvement just based off of the weight we've done alone within these 60 days. As far as the squat goes, today I actually hit 335 for about 11 or 12. I can't remember if I failed on the 12th rep or the 13th rep, which is pretty freaking good for me. One thing I've noticed is that my strength in my bench tends to take a lot longer to come back, and even then it doesn't even fully come back to where I feel like I could PR again. I haven't PR'd in about a year on bench, so it doesn't always come back that fast for me. However, my leg strength, I don't know if this is genetics or what, but my legs tend to explode in strength when I do start training them a lot more consistently, especially when I start to progressive overload again and go a little bit heavier. So I mean, overall, these lifts aren't really bad at all, especially for the given time period that I had to increase them. I know people are way stronger than me, way more shredded than me, everything. It's just, for me, in this specific circumstance, that's an improvement. And And I do believe a big factor in that was the consistency at which I was training, as well as this slight surplus allowing me to gain about 10 pounds between then and by the time I'm going to sleep. So the goal right now with my physique is to get to 170 pounds, but look shredded. I could hit 170 pounds at night, but I have to flex for you to see my abs or just get into the proper lighting in order to see them. So here are some photos of me when I first started the bulk. As you can see, my abs and serratus had much more definition. Even the veins on my arms had a decent amount of definition as well. I was a lot skinnier, you could tell, but the definition was definitely there, and it didn't look all too bad. But you can see even my legs were a lot smaller than they are, and I know for proportionally my legs are a decent size for the rest of my body, but as you can see, this photo's looking a little skinnier than what it does now. Now this is about 30 days into the bulk, so as you can see, I'm a little bit less defined, but I'm definitely stronger and feeling much better, being able to eat a good amount of food kind of just whenever I want. And one thing to keep in mind is that I wasn't just eating crap food all the time. I was still eating a bunch of chicken, rice, vegetables, a lot of protein and good nutritious foods, not just a bunch of cookies and donuts and crap. So here's me now. As you can see, I started solidifying a lot more after these 60 days. My strength is doing better than it has been all year, actually, so that's going pretty well. I'm still experiencing a decent amount of being bloated or bloatedness and even pudginess, especially at night after I eat a lot and finish off the protein shake, and if I happen to have a snack with it, then that makes me very bloated right before bed, or if I just eat a frick ton of food throughout the day. And a lot of the stuff I post on social media, yes, I have a pump, there's decent lighting, drop the contrast a little bit, but some of these photos without a pump or anything, kind of just me getting up out of bed, being lighter, don't look too bad all around, to be honest. I'm definitely gaining size. My thighs, I feel like especially, have just exploded. My arms have gotten bigger, my shoulders are a little more capped, it feels like. Feels really good, honestly, because I am eating a lot more, because I know to stay shredded, you know, people like Alex Eubank, Hattie, they talk about they're hungry a lot of times, they don't necessarily get to enjoy food all the time in order to maintain this physique. However, you do feel much better when you are on a bulk, and what they said is very true. Personally, I'm enjoying it a lot. So this is the part you guys have been waiting for. What are some of the biggest learning points that I've taken away from this 60-day bulk? Well, to start off with, a diet is not easy to stay consistent with, especially when you are working and prioritizing other things such as recording, editing, regular work, getting ready for school. I know sometimes for how robotic I am, I can't always stay 100% consistent. So how did I do it? Well, to start, protein shakes in the morning with breakfast and at night before you go to bed with a bedtime snack, optionally, if you are still a little bit hungry. Those really save me a lot in terms of calories. That would add sometimes 600, 700 more calories to my day. Now, since protein has the capability of filling you up much more than the regular other foods, this is actually a hack for normally losing weight. It's kind of tough to get as much in as possible. So by drinking your calories, huge advantage, huge advantage. I cannot stress that enough. In fact, it helps with the consistency a tremendous amount. When I could, on days I would get in frequent meals. A lot of times I would have my chicken and rice or whatever, but very protein dense foods. I'd be like, dang, I'm kind of full. But sometimes 30 minutes to an hour after, I just start snacking on some peanuts. And then of course the calorically dense foods are also a huge factor. You could eat fewer of them and not get filled up as much as if you ate like a grilled chicken breast, so to speak, just as an example. Peanuts are really calorically dense. Highly recommend those as a snacking food. Even rice cakes with a bunch of peanut butter, like literally load up the peanut butter on it. That worked great for me too. Now this might be one of the most important parts of the whole entire video, so make sure you listen up. One of the biggest things that I learned is that you have to listen to your body. Now when I say listen to your body, I mean, are you hurting? Are you feeling okay? Are you mentally there? Are you zoning out in places you shouldn't be zoning out at? Are you feeling frequently tired? Or do you feel constant pain anywhere? All of these are factors to take into consideration when you are bulking. Now some of you might be asking, why would I care so much while I'm bulking? Isn't that something you should be more aware of when you're cutting, when you're not really all there together? Yes, both of those make sense, to always listen to your body. But here's why. If you are gaining a good amount of weight in a small amount of time, you have to allow your body to catch up. Sometimes, because this happened to me before, and it's happened to many people I know, sometimes you gain a frick ton of strength, bunch of strength, like abnormal amounts when it does not necessarily feel normal. And you're like, wow, I'm getting freaking strong right now, and you want to keep going heavier and heavier. It's important to keep in mind that your body and your central nervous system can't always keep up with you, although your muscles can push to those limits. Now, a personal example of this is my squat was shooting up very fast. And so I would start repping 315, no problem. I'm right now repping 335 with zero issue, and I was doing it without a belt, except for today. I used a belt for that. But my point is that you want to make incremental increases, whether this is in weight or in the amount of reps you are doing. So if I was only hitting 315 for 5 reps and all of a sudden I could hit it for 10 reps, I might wait an extra day to hit 315 for 10 reps again before I decide to jump to 335 335, and then 355. Now, if for some reason you do feel a significant decrease in your strength all of a sudden, and for some reason you can't keep not necessarily maxing out, but pushing these big numbers again, and you feel very weak multiple workouts in a row, what I like to do is do this thing called a deload week, or even just a few days, honestly. You could take 2-3 days off from the gym total, or you could just take it much lighter, and you don't necessarily have to push the heavy weight all the time, to just kind of have a maintenance phase or off completely, and then that way you could come back stronger. However, when you do come back, don't start repping, like for example, 335 on squat again. Try to build up to maybe 275, 315 before you get up to 335. Sorry, all these freaking flies. So let's say you're at the other end of the spectrum now, and you're not being consistent enough, but you're still eating in that huge surplus. Anytime I did that, I started to realize that I would get fatter and fatter, and my veins would start disappearing, my abs would start disappearing. Everything started looking much worse once again until I got a pump. So dial back the food, start being more consistent, whether it's 4 days, 5 days, 6 days a week. 2 days a week on a bulk normally won't cut it, straight up. I don't know, even 3 days is pushing it. You want to get as much either very intense days in or a bunch of frick ton of volume if you're only doing anywhere between 2 to 3 days, sometimes 4 days a week when working out while bulking. Too much in one day is just not it. You want to avoid that. That's how people end up just gaining a bunch of weight, and maybe they're gaining strength too, but if you want to look any bit aesthetic as well, which I know a lot of people do like looking aesthetic, some people don't care, they're all for strength. That's fine, you do you, but I'm just saying for those people who do want to look aesthetic, keep in mind that you are just going to be putting on fat and a lot of weight. So we just saw an example, Jeff Side recently. He's been gone, you know him, he just kind of disappears from the fitness industry for a few months, or sometimes even maybe a year, I don't know, and he'll come back all shredded, everything. So he's shredded right now, looks great right now. Here are some pictures of him when he was bulking. That is not this, he doesn't even look like the same dude. I mean, he's still handsome, but you could tell by his jawline, his body, his abs. I mean, he doesn't necessarily look terrible, but compared to what he did, I'm pretty sure all of us would rather look like how he originally did compared to how he did on his bulk. So I have found these tips and tricks in order to adapt to certain situations when I'm getting too pudgy, lay off the food, be a little more consistent with the gym. If I can't hit the gym as much, drop the calories a little bit more than I would throughout the day. If I already am looking very bloated and pudgy throughout the day and I've hit a decent amount of calories, sometimes I'll still won't have that protein shake at night. If I am lacking in calories or food or anything like that, then those protein shakes come in clutch, as well as just snacking on nuts, homies nuts. Just remember, dirty bulking is not the way to go. Go about this in a methodical way. Go about it in a strategic way. If you're just dirty bulking, you're just straight up, you're really just getting fat. You might gain some strength, some size, you might feel good, but you are getting fat. And keep in mind, even if you do this methodically, I'm still gaining fat. I am gaining size, but in order to gain that size, it's not all pure muscle all the time. That's why you gain a little bit at a time, solidify it, gain a little bit, solidify it, and so on. And you just keep repeating the cycle in order to do this sort of heavy dose of main gaining, if you will. If you want to see a full strategic breakdown on how to gain weight for skinny guys and skinny girls, click the video right here. You will not regret it. And if you are new to the channel, please sub. Bye.